to their career.
The perfect combination, boy.
Hip hard legends in the South.
This is sports fans' only home for the hottest sports show around. These guys are on fire.
You're now listening to KJ and Sean Mack. Let's talk some damn sports.
Welcome back to NFL Blitz with your host KJ, aka the Sports Guru. I am the self-proclaimed sports guru. Not really sure what qualifies you as a sports guru, but I like the ring to it, so that's what I'm going with. Now, usually I do a little nice intro, a nice little warm-up to get everybody into the, into the sports groove. But today I'm skipping all the small talk. I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed. I'm nervous. It's too early in the season to be feeling like this, and I'm about to get into it. I'm about to lay everything on the line, and I'm going to put everything on the table. So, of course, as you know, this is the rookie report, so we're going to talk about all the rookies. Today we're going to focus on the quarterbacks. Last week we just did Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. Today we're going to do a little more focusing on Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, and just talk about the putrid, horrible day all four of them had on Sunday. I wanted to come out on Monday, but I was too aggravated. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to let it marinate for a second before I got on here, get all my facts together, because sometimes, you talk off of emotion and you don't really have all the facts, but I have all the facts and I'm about to share them with you guys. So anyway, excuse me, the horribleness they displayed for the world to see was pretty astonishing, I have to say. Now, I've made up a new name for Mac Jones. Now, this is for all the Patriot fans in the group pages on Facebook. This is his new name now until he plays better, until I notify you guys that he has lost this nickname. This is his new nickname. It is Mac Jones, aka Mac Trash Jones, or just Trash Jones, or how about just good old Whack Jones? I don't know which one you prefer. Pick whichever one you want. I felt good about this pick when we got him at the 15th spot in the draft, thinking, now this was my thinking, we were going to keep Cam, let Jones sit on the bench for a year, learn. If Cam sucked it up again, then put him in. But at least give him more time to get acclimated to the NFL lifestyle, the NFL, how everything operates. I don't think this kid is ready. I really, really don't. Even Tom Brady sat for a year. His first year, he did not play. He didn't come until that faithful game against the Jets when Drew Bledsoe got knocked out. So for the record, I want Mac Jones to do well. I don't want anybody to think that I want him to fail. But since I was tortured and trolled all last year about Cam, what do they call him, Scam Newton? Because of that, that's his nickname now, Mac Trash Jones, or Whack Jones, or like I said, Trash Jones, whatever you prefer. So if I refer to somebody by that name, know I'm talking about Mac Jones, and this will continue until he stops playing like trash. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, KJ, why are you being so hard on him? He's a rookie. I don't want to hear that rookie nonsense, and I'll get into why I don't want to hear that rookie nonsense in a few minutes. But until then, let's see here. I don't know what it is about Boston. The people in Boston, the Bostonians, they have a problem with, not all of them. I don't want to paint a crazy picture of Boston, but when it comes to sports and their fans, and when it comes to people of color, they can be very, very, very nasty, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm thinking that's why there was so much animosity towards Cam Newton. Yes, he stunk the place up, but get this. All the fans are now saying, the ones who were Cam haters, they're now saying that, oh, we don't have any receivers. Oh, the offensive line is terrible. Same excuses we were using last year for Cam, but it's, oh, he's a rookie, give him a break, give him a chance. Nobody gave him that chance, or nobody gave Cam a chance last year. So until this dude proves it, I don't think he is ever going to prove it, but until he proves it, that's his nickname. So I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, give the kid a chance. I don't want to hear that. Bill Belichick should have kept Cam Newton. He didn't keep Cam Newton. We're in the position we are because of Bill Belichick. We should have kept Tom Brady. Forget Cam Newton. But then he went ahead and let go of Cam Newton, and now we're stuck with Mac Jones. So let's see where this all heads to. So since I brought up Cam Newton and Mac Jones, I don't want to spend too much on Cam Newton because he's no longer a part of the Patriots. But I just want to check. I want you guys to check this out. The first 3 weeks of this season for Mac Jones and the first 3 weeks of last season for Cam Newton before he caught COVID. So Cam Newton, weeks 1 through 3, 2020, he had a 2-1 record. Should have been 3-0. Remember, he didn't, that goal line stance that Seattle put up, Cam couldn't get over the goal line. They would have won that game. They should have been 3-0. But they were 2-1. He was 62 for 91 for 68% completion percentage, 714 yards passing, 7.85 yards per attempt. He had 2 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, 35 rushes, 149 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns. Mac Jones, weeks 1 through 3, he has a 1-2 record. He is 81 for 120 for 67% completion percentage, 737 yards, a 6.1 yard per attempt, and 2 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 6 rushes, 28 yards, no touchdown. Now, everybody was saying Cam was so trash last year, but in the first 3 games of this year, he's actually doing better than Mac Jones is doing this year. So if Cam was trash last year, what does that make Mac Jones right now? Exactly what I named him, trash. So we're going to keep this theme going with he's playing like trash. There's not too much else to say about it. Now I want to get into this quick little article, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but let's see here. He finished 3 of 19 with a touchdown and 2 interceptions on throws at least 15 yards down the field. That is the second worst deep incompletions by a quarterback in any game over the past 15. Did you hear what I just said? It ties for the second most deep incompletions by a quarterback in any game over the past 15 seasons, almost 2 decades. This man comes in against a defense that's not that great, and he almost broke a record, a bad record. You don't want to be associated with that. 3 of 19 with throws over 15 yards down the field. Now, granted, there was a few drop balls, 4, 5, 6 drop balls, but I'm just merely talking about the deep passes over 15 yards. 3 for 19. Just absolutely unacceptable. Whenever there's a blitz, the kid looks like he's a deer caught in headlights. He panics. His feet, he doesn't have his feet set. Now he's already not a mobile quarterback, so he's not going to go anywhere. So it's like the NFL game is too fast for him right now, and it's like he's scared to make a mistake. That's what it feels like. And when he does throw it deep, it's just like he's hoping that somebody catches it. It's not like a confident throw down the field. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. Now, we're going to get destroyed this week against Tampa Bay. Let's be honest. But I want to see some improvement. If I don't see some improvement, I'm going to really start looking at Bill Belichick. Ever since Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett was a pretty good pick. But ever since then, and N'Keal Harry, so far Mac Jones, some of these defensive players, they just haven't worked out. And he's just wasting draft picks. And it's really, 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 really frustrating. So now moving on to Justin Fields. This kid got destroyed on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. They hit him, let's see here, make sure I get this right. They hit him 15 times. Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. He was hit by Jadeveon Clowney 5 times. He had 3 sacks. Altogether, they had 9 sacks. And he had, 6 for 20 for 64 yards? I think it was. 6 for 20 for 68 yards. That doesn't even sound like an NFL quarterback. I do not think Justin Fields is ready to come in and start. I think Nagy did the right thing by starting Andy Dalton. It's just a shame that Dalton is hurt now. So Fields is pretty much forced to start unless they're going to start the 3rd string quarterback. But that's not a good look for Chicago. I know the Chicago fans were really looking forward to what Justin Fields can do. I'm just glad we didn't take him. He looked worse than Mac Jones. In fact, he looked worse than all of them. Let me read off. Let's see here. What did Trevor Lawrence? He was 22 of 34. He had 219 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Zach Wilson, 19 for 35, 160 yards, and 2 interceptions. That game was not even competitive. It was 26-0. I think Denver's legit. I really do. Having Teddy Bridgewater, he's that manager of the game. He's a leader. Seems like they bought into what he can do for the team. You got Melvin Gordon as the running back. You got Patrick as a receiver. You have a great defense. I think those guys are a sleeper in the AFC. Let's see what happens as the season progresses. Hopefully Bridgewater can stay healthy throughout the whole season. That's always been his Achilles horse, or I said Achilles heel. That's always been his Achilles heel, getting hurt throughout the season when he starts a full season. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see here. I wanted to ask you guys, I never trusted quarterbacks from schools where that particular school dominated the competition they faced in college. When I say that, I mean, when I'm looking for a quarterback, if I was a GM and I'm looking for a quarterback, I want a quarterback that has to pull some games out in the course of his college career. You know, do some 2-minute drills in crunch time to pull his team out to victory. You know, orchestrate a comeback in prime time, you know, on those national televised games, those type of quarterbacks. Think about all the really good quarterbacks in the last 20 years. The ones who had battles in college and won more times than not in crunch time when it really meant something in the year. Quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, who went to Cal. He wasn't at a dominant school, so there was a lot of times he was in dogfights, and it was him. It was his skill. It was his quarterbacking that willed his team to win. Russell Wilson, when he was at NC State, and then he went to Wisconsin, never on a super dominant team, and a lot of times the game was on his shoulders. Tom Brady, when he went to Michigan, same thing. Had a lot of dogfights with Ohio State and Michigan State when the Big Ten was a great college league. Who else? I can keep going on and on. Dak Prescott when he was at Mississippi State. Eli Manning when he was at Ole Miss. And if it's not those type of quarterbacks, then it's the ones who just have the swag, like Peyton Manning or Baker Mayfield. And even those guys, they were at really good schools, but not to where every team they played, they just steamrolled. Now you look at these other teams like the Notre Dames and the Floridas and the Alabamas and the USCs and the Texas. Those schools do not produce good quarterbacks. And here's my theory on that. The quarterbacks, they're playing with the best receivers, the best offensive linemen, the best running backs, the best defenses, and there's really never no close games. You know what I'm saying? When you have the best receivers, you just kind of throw the ball up because the corners that are covering them 9 times out of 10 are inferior defenders. They will not be able to cover those guys. So they just burn right past them. You throw the ball up. Well, once you get to the NFL, it's not like that. The corners, a lot of times, are just as fast as the receivers. And the corners can stick to the receivers unless, you know, there's outliers like Tyreek Hill on Kansas City, or, you know, they do have wide receivers that are super fast and nobody can stay with them. But in the NFL, like for the Patriots, for instance, I can name 30 corners that can stay with every single one of our wide receivers. So it's not going to be as easy for Mac Jones. He's not going to just be able to throw the ball up. You know, every single defense is like an all-star SEC defense that he faced in college, but yet his team, his offense isn't as good as those offenses at Alabama. So that's where the problem lies. These guys are going to these colleges that are so dominant, they're never tested. And more times than not, when they are tested, like in the national championship or things of that nature with a team that's just as talented, a lot of times those quarterbacks lose because they've never been tested, and you're put in a situation where the playing field is level. Now you don't have an advantage anymore. Now it's just your skill against his skill, who's gonna come out and execute. So those quarterbacks like Tim Tebow, Mac Jones, even Tua Tagovailoa, think about it. No quarterback came out of Alabama and did great in the NFL since Joe Namath, and that was what, 60 years ago? So why an NFL team would ever draft a Alabama quarterback in the first round is absolutely so. And who else was it? It was a couple of more quarterbacks that from school. Oh, USC. I said USC, Texas, Florida, Alabama. Those are the schools that stick out in my mind. But if you guys can think of any others, and if you could name me the quarterbacks out of those schools that actually made it out and made a difference in the NFL, I can't think of any besides Carson Palmer from USC. If you can name me some other ones from these big schools, Oregon's another one. Like usually their talent level, every few years they have this talent that's just like unmatched, and they're over there in the Pac-12 or the Pac, whatever it is, Pac-13, and there's no competition And when they finally do meet some high-level competition, usually those quarterbacks, they kind of, crawl up in the corner. Look at Mariota, what he did in the national championship when he played in it. So I guess that's pretty much what my point is. So anyway, I don't want to get too long-winded. Oh, another outlier will be Johnny Manziel. When I said the swagger factor, somebody who just walks out there and he just has something different about him. But I think his lifestyle kind of derailed his career. So, but anyway, with that being said, you guys have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when this reaches you. My name is KJ, the Sports Guru on NFL Blitz via Sports Fans Only. You guys stay safe. I'm out of here. Peace.